I've been recording all my games just to remember where I was at, and my machine was running slow, and I realized I had 500 gig of stored video on my computer and had to go in and delete it the other day. And
That'll be why.
Why the fuck is it so slow? Oh yeah, I should fix that. So I deleted all of them. Okay, so we're going to play Die, based on, and I'm almost certainly going to mispronounce their surname because I'm terrible at pronunciation. Kieron Gillen's Die the comic. So if you've read Die the comic, you'll already know vaguely how what the premise of the game is. The shortcut way of describing is it's basically Jumanji meets role-playing landscapes. So in this game, you will take on, in the first instance, personas. So personas are effectively the real world kind of characters that we'll be playing. They live in a vaguely real universe, similar to our own. They each have a sort of stereotypical kind of frame, and that's where the definition of the bullied, the friend, the pitied, the loved, and so forth comes in. In the first hour of the game, what we do is we sort of explore all of those relationships. So we explore all the relationships, the background, the setting, define the game that the people used to play, all of those elements, because all of those elements feed into the second stanza of the game, which, to be completely unsubtle, is where you take on characters in a fantasy world. So your personas are converted into characters, and your personas are conscious of that conversion. So they actually suddenly find themselves in the fantasy world. They then explore the fantasy world, and in the third and final stanza of the game, they are given a choice about what they do at the end of this exploration of both their fantasy world and their understanding of the real world that they've left behind. That choice defines the end of the game. So how they choose to act in relation to whether they stay in the fantasy world or move to or return to the real world. That's the fundamental premise of the game. Now, you can run a very long campaign where there's a lot of exploring of the fantasy realm. We're obviously not going to do that. We're going to run effectively the fast start version of the game, eponiously titled Total Party Kill. So
excellent.
So, you know, what could possibly be going wrong there? And it's time bound. So there's actually explicit timings in the game to ensure that we do that. Now, because we've got 4 hours, not 3 in total, because we're doing it over 2 sessions, each of 2 hours long, the middle stanza will go for longer than it would in the standard TPK, because in the standard TPK, it's basically an hour and 45, and then 15 for the final decision. We will be stretching probably both of those later two things. Right. Very quickly on mechanics. I sent you all the rules, so you've all had a chance, hopefully, to have a look. If you haven't, that's cool, because it's not the world's most complicated rule mechanic. Very much, actually, I mean, it's Kieron Gillen's game, and they've obviously written it, but you can smell, you know, is it Rowan, Rook and Deckard? Have I got it right?
Yeah, Rowan, Rook and Deckard, yeah.
Put, you know, scent all over it. It's got like a D6 pool, simple successes of 4s. You get these things called specials if you roll a 6 on any of those die, which can activate special abilities. And then in addition to that, you will each, depending on which character you end up playing, also have a polyhedron dice to roll in addition. By the way, we're just using real dice. I trust you all, and also I couldn't be asked finding an online dice roller that I cared about enough to worry. The mechanics of the game are: you attempt an action. I determine what the difficulty of that action is. The difficulty subtracts from successes. Successes are achieved by rolling a 4 or better on a dice. And you have to exceed by 1 at a minimum my difficulty number. So if the difficulty number is 0 and you get 1 success, happy days. If the difficulty number is 2, you need 3 successes. There's a couple of stats on the character sheet, but when we get to character sheets, it might be better to talk about stats specifically at that point. So that's the overview of the system, the intent of the game, how it runs. A final comment. Now, I'm pretty immature in this space, so this is just an open admission of fact. Actually, I literally led a whole discussion on diversity planning last night, which was really interesting for my work. It's bizarre because I'm the least diverse person you'll ever meet. But the reason I mention all of that is so the game. Now, we probably won't go there very much. We don't know each other particularly well, so to a large extent, we'll steer away from it. But obviously, with that whole concept of loss and regret, the game can cross over into sensitive terrain. The game itself, if you've had a look at the rule set, is chock full of those sorts of controls, so X cards, veils, those sorts of things. For the sake of this game, if anyone is uncomfortable, just ping me and we'll just divert away, right? So it's that simple. We won't be exploring any highly charged sexual topics. We won't be exploring any highly charged abuse topics. I just can't go there. It's just not a place I think is good. So we'll steer away from that stuff anyway. But if there's anything that makes people uncomfortable, just ping me on the chat and you can message me directly, and that's what we'll do. Okay, I think that's all of the subtext briefing that we need to deliver. So now we're just going to dive straight in. Good Lord, I feel like I'm running a workshop. This is my workshop voice. So the way the first hour will run is we're going to do what's called the rituals. So the rituals are I have a series of questions aligned to the scenario. I'm going to roll through those questions and ask some of you and all of you in some cases a series of questions to explore. Okay, right. Yeah. That was everything. Are there any questions about any of that? Sorry, I should ask before we get into it.
Sounds cool. Yeah.
Okay, so you are all... So the history of this story is 10 years ago, or well, some time ago, which we'll describe and we'll determine in a second. I, as the master, as the GM, was running a game that ended with everyone dying. All the characters died. And to most of you, it was grossly unfair. It was one of those, I threw a monster that no one had a defense against kind of stories, and you all died horribly. And no matter what you tried, it seemed that I, as the GM, had intended or decided that you would all die. So you all decided, so that was where the game ended, effectively. We all scattered to our various worlds. So I ran the game. I was the biggest fantasy nerd in the group, and perhaps the universe. This is a classic group of nerdy kids playing a normal RPG at school. My first question to all of you to think about is, how long has it been since we played together? And just to give you some hints, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, something else.
20 years.
Yeah,
20 years.
I think, yeah, it definitely shouldn't be 5, because I think it would be nice for us to develop away from the game. So, yeah, I'd go for 10 or 20, something like that.
Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Full
I dissolved my grudge after 10 years, so yeah, 20 years will post, okay.
Okay, the second question is, the dungeon in which you all died was called either the Dominion of Tharlan Trice-Blooded, the Blade Glades of the Everchild, the Abyss, or something else.
Ooh.
Oh, I should make the point, you're allowed to ask additional questions. So if you want to ask additional questions through this, please don't feel constrained to the questions I'm asking. I mean, these ones I need answers to, but if there's other things you want to throw in, like what other elements of the dungeon, or what other things about that 20 years ago? But anyway, what is the name of the killer dungeon?
Can you give them again? Sorry.
The Dominion of Tharlan Trice-Blooded, the Blade Glades of the Everchild, the Abyss, or something you guys like?
Quite like the Blade Glades of the Everchild, because I have no idea what that means.
That's the one that grabbed me as well, like Blade Glades. That's quite evocative.
Yeah. Okay.
Of the Everchild.
Yes, I will put on my demon voice later when introducing the dungeon properly.
The Glades of the
Blade.
Everchild.
Of the
Blade.
Everchild. Yeah, that
The
sounds
Blade Glades of the Everchild. Thank God, because if you'd said the Dominion of Tharlan Thrice-Blooded, I was going to cry because I didn't want to say that 27 times through the adventure.
Mind you, Blade Glades of the Everchild is a bit of a tongue twister.
Yeah, it is. I can see it's going to get harder as we go. Okay, so Paul, the best friend. You were my best friend.
Yep. Yes.
You were my confidant. What
Yep.
bonded us together? We both worship the same geek. I'll give you some options. Although, no,
Right.
if you want to
go. No, give me some options.
Okay. Noting that the fourth option is there's always whatever you reckon.
Yep.
You both love the same geek stuff. What especially did you love? You kind of hero worshipped them and hung off their every word. You were the first two queer kids out at school. Something else.
A bit of the first one, but it was a fantasy book series by David Gemmell. It was the original David Gemmell series.
So good. Legend. The legend of
It
I
was
read them
Legend.
all. I actually legitimately read all the David Gemmell books when I was in my teens.
It was actually the what was it called? The Sipper Stone series.
Yeah,
that is what we and specifically Wolfen's Shadow is the one that we both basically talked about.
You know, I love the Wolf in Shadow.
Amazingly specific, Paul.
No, but I read them all. I actually remember reading the Wolf in Shadow.
I remember reading them all, and I love them. Basically, they're just they're a little testosterone fantasy, but they're great.
Is Wolf in Shadow the one where
It's with John Shano?
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. Gunboy.
Yeah.
Gunboy. Yes. There you go. I legitimately can remember those stories. All right, so we can definitely bond over David Gemmell because, as it turns out, very nice. Win. Oh, it's not coming through. You got to turn off your blurring. Wolf in Shadow.
Awesome. Wolf in Shadow.
Nice. Amazing.
Mine's in the loft.
That's it. I can already see where the pity's going to link in here. You were the anyway. All right, so we bonded over David Gemmell and in particular the Wolf in Shadow, the Sapastry Stone series. Oh, that's right. Is Wolf in Shadow the one where the woman does the swan path and turns into like Hope? I think it is. Anyway, okay, so that's you, Paul. By the way, feel free for people to ask cross questions as well. So if someone volunteers something and someone else says, "Oh, but what about?" Please feel free. The loved. Oh, Neil.
Yeah.
Neil. So, the GM loved you the most, whatever that means. Why did the GM love you? You were the wise older sibling. What did you know better? You were their out of control crush. How did you respond? You had the best taste and knew everything. What were you an expert in? Something else.
Ooh. Oh, those are all good. Can you just run those past me again?
Yeah, of course. You were the wise older sibling. What did you know better? You were their out of control crush. How did you respond? You had the best taste and knew everything. I almost said bad taste. You had the best taste and knew everything. What were you an expert in? Something else.
Oh, okay. I think I'm going to go for wise older sibling because I think that could be a fun dynamic. And I think Well, yeah, this could be all right. How about what I knew better was maybe if I'm older, I'm going to say DMing because I'm assuming we're playing Dungeons and Dragons years ago.
Yeah.
So I'd been DMing longer, and I was I felt like I had this kind of mentoring role to help your fledgling DMing skills.
So good.
Because I think that could be fun in part 2.
No, that's great. Oh, I can already see part 2 with Wolf in Shadow being at least vaguely entertaining, and the idea that you were like the wiser, older, more experienced GM works very well. So for the bullied, because we don't have a bully, you're someone the GM treated badly. So you're bullied by me as the GM repeatedly. Why? You were the younger sibling. How annoying were you? You weren't as bright as the GM, and the GM mocked your every mistake. Was the GM right? You were the hang-along friend of someone cooler in the group. Who?
Oh, this is interesting.
Something else.
Can you repeat the last one?
You were
I
the
was the
hang-along friend. So you were the sort of hanger-on that came with someone
Mm.
else who played in the group.
Yeah,
Of someone cooler in the group. Who?
Yeah.
These prompts
If I
are
go,
excellent.
yeah, I am gutted between asking too many questions and being friend of Paul, and Paul is I'm tagging along with Paul because Paul is your best friend, so I'm tagging
Well,
along.
you could be both, mate. You could be Paul's younger sibling. You don't have to be the GM's master sibling. You could be the younger sibling who Paul had to bring along all the time to the games because the parents insisted that. And you asked really annoying questions, but we couldn't get rid of you because Paul was my best friend and I didn't want to throw Paul out of the group.
I will go with that.
It's the perfect combo of the two prompts, I would argue. All right. So you were the younger brother. Younger brother. Yeah.
And asking too many questions, and probably the DM was right.
Oh, the GM was right.
Yeah.
But you were mercilessly picked on because we couldn't throw you out, but we could pick on you while you were in the game.
Yeah. Asking asking the same question multiple times in every session.
So what sort of questions do you think they were? Were they questions about the rules of the game? Like, were you one of those people who just didn't get the rules? You've all had them in your game. Like, you'll explain the rules 27 times and you'll still find yourself explaining the rules 28 times. Like, the next session, it'll be like...
Yeah. Probably not lifting my character sheet. Okay, so can you explain how I use this spell once again?
Yeah,
what's an action?
Yeah. What's an
action?
Many actions? How many actions do I have? So too many. So you were just never learning the rules.
Or even better, which one's the D20?
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. Okay. And then the pitied. Many people treated you badly, but the GM seemed to take sympathy for you. So the GM actually was sympathetic, or at least appeared to be sympathetic, whether they were or not. You were poor. So the reasons why people treated you badly, you were poorer than anyone else. Why? You were targeted by bullies at the school for something. What? You were the youngest sibling of another player who, well, that unfortunately that Guernsey's just been inherited, or something else.
I feel like we should bring this into Wolf in Shadow somehow. In that I read all the books because you read them all, but all the cool stuff I just got it completely wrong. I thought the wrong things were cool. I thought the bad things were right, the right things were bad. Just completely misunderstood all of it, and just come across as an idiot. And when I try and do any of my own games, I just go for the trope. and I don't have any understanding of what would actually make a good plot at all. Just don't understand story, and potentially mess up the stories. And you have to pity me because you've got the skill and I don't.
So, all right. So, well, I better make sure I keep Muhammad, Neil, Paul, Aaron. Okay, so we pitied you because we would come and play your games, but they were awful.
They were rubbish. They were
rubbish.
awful.
They were just rubbish. But you would always insist, no, I can run the next session.
Yep.
And we'd all feel sort of vaguely awkward about it, and then go, okay.
You'd let me run one, but then there'd always be an excuse. I can't make it next week. I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that, but obviously after Tom runs a game, because he's got that campaign going. And then we wanted to give Mohammed a chance. You understand.
So
amazing.
We're awful people. All right. Anyway, just terrible
awful
people. We're just terrible people.
Yeah, teenagers are awful people.
Yeah, no, I literally attended my youngest kid's school briefing. They're in year 9, which I assume is roughly the same everywhere on the planet. And the teacher said, look, in year 9, they're basically awful. But look, the good news is in year 10, they start to improve significantly. It was the best briefing I've received from a teacher in my entire life. And to be upfront,
very honest.
The most honest, this is what I was going to say. I've got 4 children. I've lived through 3 of them. I know this is the trajectory we're on. All right, so.
Yeah.
By the way, you can choose different names. You don't have to stay with your real names. I've changed my name. So
Doulemont.
Yeah, Tom Doulemont. Okay. And I'm never Tom. I'm always Thomas. So that is my that's my particular what's the term? Anyway. All right. So
I'm Paul's brother, so yeah.
Paul's younger stepbrother Muhammad. I said Paul's younger stepbrother Muhammad. All right. So with that, Ronnie. Oh, nice, Ronnie. Okay. Now, a few more questions to continue. All right. So for each of you, I'm going to ask this question. Think a little bit about and once again, it's a kind of collaborative thing. Neil, at school, what was your hope for the future? So there's some prompts here. To be famous, and if so, for what? To get out of this town, to do what? Get started on a career. Which career? Finally come out. Why haven't you? Settle down with someone you love. Do you have a who? Something else.
Okay.
By the way, you all get to answer this question, so please, don't feel embarrassed to be thinking about the answer for yourselves.
So I'm wondering if I'm the wise older sibling, I wonder if I might just slightly retcon that and make it the cool older sibling.
Sure, the cool older sibling, yeah.
And I think what I wanted for the future was to get out of town, but specifically by becoming a famous rock musician.
All right.
And I also imagine for some reason that it's really bad heavy rock, or like hair metal or something.
Yeah. So
I don't know why, but yeah.
Poison.
Very nice. Oh, Poison. Well,
yeah, something like that. Exactly.
That's harsh. Yeah, that's.
I love Poison. I didn't say anything.
Okay. So cool. So you're the cool older sibling. You're kind of long haired. Wear the death metal t-shirts.
Yeah. Probably piercings. Various piercings.
Yeah. What instrument do you play, or are you front vocals?
I think probably It's got to be guitar, isn't it? Lead guitar.
Yeah, no, and vocals, lead guitar and vocals.
Yeah, why not both? Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
No, So you're right up the front. I was literally having a conversation with my kid last night about why are all the guitarists always up the front. When we all know the bass player is the coolest member of the band. I can't play bass, by the way, but every time it's just true. All right, lead guitar, vocals, get out of town. Ronnie the Pitied. Same question. What was your hope for the future? Be famous for what? Get out of this town to do what? Get started on a career. Which career? Finally come out. Why haven't you? Settle down with someone you love. Do you have a who? Or something else?
So with my clear skills in screenwriting, I was going to get into Hollywood blockbuster film writing and have written infinite scripts, all of which are at best cat litter, but I still think I could make it.
So you were going to be a famous screenwriter? So does that mean you haven't left town? You've like been living in town, kind of writing these scripts?
I've got the worst sort of office job ever that I completely resent, and I'm always writing scripts in the house still.
You can already see how easy it is to run this game with these prompts, right? You can already see all the terrible things you can do to people just on the basis of what's been shared already. Resented office job, I'm just putting that in. Scripts, crap. Failed to launch. Oh, by the way, I'm not sure. Do we? Maybe just one question for you, Neil. Did you get out of town, even if it wasn't as a rock star? Think about it.
No, I'm gonna say yes, but as a very sort of like just making it in the music industry,
jobbing,
like not really, but just barely. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Jobbing.
So like a session musician.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, nice.
So you tour guitarist for a band.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, failed to launch on. Terrible scripts. Yep. Paul.
I wanted to be a comic artist. I used to draw pictures of all the characters and sometimes some of your creations sort of thing I draw.
Nice.
So yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to send my stuff away to the comic industry and become a comic book artist, basically.
And did you? I guess is the question.
Yes, but there's a sting in the tail because I got too cocky and I basically got other people to do to take on to copy my style. And it was a big scandal, and I'm basically person non gratis now in the comic book industry.
So you were actually a decently famous comic artist, and then people found out you were no longer actually drawing. You were getting other people to draw.
Yeah. So a big scandal, and no longer person non gratis.
Okay, awesome. Victor. The bullied. Oh, Victor. You've changed names. Victor. Same question.
Yeah. Probably he wanted to be a wildlife documentary director.
Nice.
But definitely he wanted to just get out of town, go to Africa, go to different places, doing several documentaries everywhere. But his parents were doctors, and they completely mocked his idea and insisted that he has to become a doctor also, because they were the new trajectory. He was not going
to
a real medical school.
Yeah.
I'd already dropped out and become a comic book artist, which really wound them up.
Good. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. You were the last hope.
So he gets the butt of it, basically.
Yeah. So they completely crushed my spirit and my dreams completely, and they bullied me to go to medical school, which I failed miserably. And to graduate, maybe I took twice the years to graduate, and probably doing some not as famous as Perfect Doctor as they wanted, but I finally finished medical school. But yeah, not a very trustworthy doctor to visit. Maybe
Quite a
working
crappy
at
job.
yeah, very insurance hospital, doing just broken, just fixing arms, and yeah, so not as famous as respectable as my mother and father.
I don't know if they have this in the UK, but in Australia we have these walk-in clinics right next to a hospital.
Yeah.
So you get diverted to the walk-in clinic if you've got minor ailments, so that you don't busy up the public hospital. So we're like the NHS. We've got public hospital system like you guys. I don't know if Egypt has one.
Yeah, probably I'm doing by the side.
Yeah, so
currently
you're just
doing
sort of doing all
getting
the,
extra money doing.
oh, I feel a bit sick. People kind of wander in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
doing some illegal
Are you?
operations
I was gonna
by the
say, are
side doing.
you? What's your dodgy bit? Are you dodgy about handing out drugs, or are you dodgy about handing out medical certificates?
Maybe doing medical certificate and doing some illegal operation for wounded bandit and so on.
Oh,
But
nice.
not a
Yeah.
trustworthy doctor, but
So
what
criminals
the
come
money
to
can
you for
give.
medical assistance.
Yeah.
You're all kinds of
Amazing.
broken, Victor. You're not a good man.
Yeah,
I'm
probably
just saying that
yeah,
out loud because
being
it
bullied.
might result in
Yeah.
bad outcomes later on in this game. All right, so around the time of the fatal game, maybe even before, maybe after, you did something which torched the relationship with the GM. So you burnt the relationship to the ground and salted the earth in the following moment. What was it? So you turned up to a party drunk and caused a huge scene. You stole something precious. You made out with my partner, or at least someone I was extremely into. So maybe it was my unrequited love. You snapped and told me exactly what you thought of me. What was it? You spread rumors about me behind my back. What were they? And I'll add to that, were they true? And then finally, I needed you to do something for me and you just didn't. What was it? Something else. So starting with you, Neil. How did you torch our relationship, my most loved player / GM?
I think we had a very minor argument initially, just some like nothing petty disagreement. Maybe I don't know, maybe we were going to meet and I was late and you had a bit of a go at me for being late. Just something, nothing.
Yeah.
But it turns out that I was late because there was some big disaster happening. Maybe, I don't know, probably something to do with the music. Maybe a tour had just been cancelled and I realized I wasn't going to have any work and I was trying to sort it all out and I was really stressed. And so you had a little snap at me for being late. And then I just kind of overreacted and just lost it and told you that, in fact, I never enjoyed your games anyway.
Oh.
And
that even hurt me, man.
What you saw as friendly, like looked up to as like advice, like friendly advice, actually was me kind of like, you don't have to do this, you're getting it all wrong, let me show you how you should be doing it. And so
Nice.
that's how I kind of describe it to you.
Nice. So a fair amount of snark from the corner that I was completely misinterpreting as just the playful banter, but actually it was you going, this is freaking awful.
Yeah. And I think maybe I was, for the sake of the group or whatever, I was just trying to be nice and, so I don't think I was probably being too snarky when we were actually playing.
Yeah.
But then it emerges that, I kind of was.
So to just ask the question then, do you think you could have done a better job if you'd just been running the games?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Why not?
All right.
Awesome.
Nice. Ronnie, same question for you, my friend. Or are you? Anyway, you turned up to the party drunk, caused a huge scene. You stole something precious. What was it? You made out with I cannot imagine that Tom had a partner of any form, but someone Tom
Crush,
thought
maybe?
one day maybe would be a partner in their dream life that they live in their own little world. They used to write, I can imagine that Tom had that person that they used to copy Tolkien poetry to and give to because they thought that would be cool. I'm not living my 13-year-old self, but I'm just saying there have been dark times in everyone's life. You made it with my partner. You snapped and told me exactly what you thought of me. What was it? Well, Neil's shared. You spread rumors about me behind my back. What were they? I needed you to do something for me and you just didn't. Something else.
So I think at one point, one of your games wasn't working well, and I tried to give you advice and tell you what to do with a bit of passion, because I'm very passionate about this will be a great idea.
Yeah.
And you just thought that was the stupidest thing ever because I obviously know nothing. So then we just get into it. You then told me the truth, that all my ideas are awful. And then I just come back at you and say, actually, here's how some of your ideas are tropes. And we just go at each other and accuse each other of being hacks. And then at some point where we would normally get over this, and you think, he's an idiot, he'll have forgotten all that by now. I'm just gone. And I've just walked away and I'm not there anymore. You asked me to come round to go for a drink or something, and I've just, that's it. No, there is no
You ghost me. You legitimately ghost me.
And you tell me the truth. It's like, no, I can't handle that. This person is never what I thought they were. He's actually the devil instead, and I can't hear his words ever again.
Because I've called you out. Wow.
Yeah.
The abuser and the abused and the abused. All right. So you ghost me. We fought over. Well, you probably yelled out how you probably went through all the David Gamel tropes that I was using in my game and called them out literally word by word. It's like, so in Wolf in Shadow, this moment occurs. Isn't that what we just did in the last game? Like, tell me how inventive you actually are. Anyway, all right, cool. Very nice. Cool. Paul, the best friend.
Best friend. We after the incident, the TPK, you killed my beloved character.
I did,
and that's the way I obviously see it. We basically got into an argument. It got worse and worse. You tore up some of my art that I'd done. So I burnt your signed copy of Wolf in Shadow.
No!
Oh, dude! He's dead now. That'll never come back. I can never get another signed copy of Wolf in Shadow. David Camille's been dead for decades.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, so I
tore up my art. Basically, it was just.
Oh, Paul, Tom torn your copy of Wolf.
No, he tore up my art because I used to draw pictures of all the monsters and all that sort of type stuff.
And then you literally threw my copy of Wolf in Shadows in the fire.
Yep.
My signed hardback.
Signed, yeah.
Signed hardback copy of Wolf in Shadows. In the fire. Okay.
Ooh, because I was going with this. I was going with the Torna book. Yeah. Okay. Let's see if this is okay or not. My turn.
Yes, it is your turn, Victor the Bullied.
Okay, so one day, when we were playing a game, also I was asking about the rule, and you got very frustrated, and you told me read the rules, and you hit me with the core rule book on my head several
Oh,
times.
physical violence. First scene of physical
Yeah.
violence. Right. Okay. So I actually hit you with the rules.
Mm.
I'm a
Yeah.
dick. I'm just going to own that. All right. So Tom
Yeah,
is a dick. I
and
think we can all agree.
yeah, and when I was walking out, crying, I slipped and fell on my face, and there is a visible, what you call it, cicatrice,
Scar.
visible scar on my face of that day.
Okay. I really, do you think that Tom feels like genuinely bad about it? Like, is Tom the one that isn't talking to you in a sense because they're ashamed of what they did? Or did you vacate because Tom never apologized for that?
No, I guess he when he saw the blood, he completely freaked out. But it was this day especially was a complication because this day was when Victor told his parents his dream and what he wanted to become, and they completely crushed his spirits. So another additional, um, somebody bullied him once more. So yeah, he completely lost it
And
that
just
day. So
noting its location in relation to the actual TPK, the final
yeah,
game. So this, by the sounds of it, should have happened during that game
yeah.
because it kind
When
of,
I ask, this isn't supposed to happen. You told me before, this is the rules,
yeah,
and you
nice.
told me you
And that could have
misreading
well
the
been
rules
the
every time.
instigation of
Yeah.
of the argument between me and you, because obviously you slapped my younger brother, younger stepbrother, and I was going to get it in the neck because of that. Do you know what I mean?
I'd
And
overstep the mark.
is that maybe why there was a TPK? Because it
Mm.
was going to be a relatively achievable boss
Yeah.
fight, and then Tom decided, "Fuck these guys! I'm going to make it a gold dragon or whatever,"
Yeah.
and kind of overreacted and killed herself.
Yeah. So the whole thing escalated basically.
So all of this went down in this like kind of last 2 hours, as it were,
Mm.
of our gaming history. So I've
Yeah,
lost my
probably
shit.
because yeah, probably because maybe Neil told him this before the game, so he decided to kill us all because of when Neil told him, "I can do better than you, and I can GM better than you."
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, so that last TPK session was a real humdinger then. It's no friends. Okay, all right. So that is all in the past. The time passes, so it's been 20 years. You're all back in town for whatever reason you might choose to think about. Now there's a couple more questions, some of which we've kind of already answered because we kind of went there in the description of what you were planning when you were leaving town, so we kind of know what's happened a little bit in your futures, but we'll just quickly fly through some of these questions. The thing which tortured your relationship with the GM, so these are questions for each of you to consider. The thing which tortured your relationship with the GM.
Can you excuse me for 1 minute?
Yeah,
I
of
will get
course,
something
mate.
to drink.
Yeah. I'm going to ask everyone the question anyway. Similar behavior has been reoccurring in your life. How do we see this character trait in your life? So, Neil, just to remind you, you basically told me I was a shit GM and you could have done a better job. And you pointed out all the flaws in the way that I was doing things wrong. So how is that behavior repeated through your life, oh session musician?
That seems pretty pretty kind of easy. I think it's that despite the obvious truth that I am in fact not a massively talented musician, but a merely adequate one.
Yeah.
In my head, I can still do it better. And actually that's why I'm struggling to find work and back in town, because unfortunately my reputation has spread that although I play perfectly adequately, I've got a big mouth and I keep giving unwanted advice and telling people how actually they shouldn't be doing that and I should be doing better and I should be the one who is famous.
Very nice. So, telling others. And that you could do it better. I particularly like the idea of you like doing it to someone like a lead musician from some famous band, like that you got into it with some lead musician who's actually genuinely famous, and you're like, actually, the way you do that chording is shit.
Richie Blackmore.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Oh,
But you're just so confident that you just okay. So basically, you're pretty much considered persona non grata, and you're struggling to find work. So you've sort of headed back.
I think gradually work's been kind of drying up more and more as word kind of gets around.
Yeah, and people who have experience of you kind of go, yeah, no, we can get this other guy. He's also adequate, but he's not a dick.
Yeah.
So let's just get him to play. Or he's maybe slightly worse than you. Maybe you're actually not a super skilled musician, but you're like good. You're not rubbish.
Yeah,
but,
actually that's probably better, yeah.
But your behavior has kind of, don't work with dickheads, sort of line has slowly incremented up to sort of overtake the fact that you're actually decently skilled. And at some point, people have just said it's just too much hassle.
It's not worth the trouble.
He's good, but man, there's fights every time. He's always, nice. All right.
Yeah, that's better. Cool.
Ronnie, the pitied.
So I never got past that moment, and I previously had all the confidence in the world. Like, I knew I was good, but at that moment where it was pointed out that actually I was rubbish, actually stopped my development at all, because all I hear now every time I get to the end of one of my scripts is your voice pointing out how bad it is. So every time I get almost to producing something, I sabotage myself, and with your voice in my head telling me how rubbish it is. So I put it aside, and then I write the same thing again, which is still as bad. So I've never developed as a writer, because I'm always holding myself back with the same argument in my head, going back of trope, you're a trope, I'm a trope, you're a trope.
And so does that mean, so have you ever submitted scripts for actual consideration, or have you just written them and they just kind of pile up and then you delete them and write another one, but you never get to that point of actually sending them to, I don't know where you would send scripts, actually, in all seriousness, producers, actually, I guess is the right terminology. So is that where it's at, or are you sending them but self-sabotaging in the way that they're rubbish and you don't edit them properly? Or
it's just gradually gone downhill over time. Like, I used to submit them and then they came back with rejection letters, which fed into the doubt.
Yeah.
And so I've submitted less and less over time until we've got to the point now where there's just no way I could possibly submit, but I'm still writing them and I'm using them as tables and furniture and everything around the office.
So just to ask the question, so do you think that's kind of like a hoarding situation? Like, does your house actually just have giant piles of paper kind of everywhere with all these scripts that have been rejected and written and never submitted?
I've got in my head that it was this embarrassing problem, actually, that I've got a wife now who disapproves of it. And so whereas I was, as a bachelor, I had it all everywhere, but now I've just got this study, this office room at the back of the house. and it's all in there. And she's now so fed up. I'm not allowed to bring them out of that room. So in that room, I'm just wading through them all because they're stuck in there, and it's actually this cave of disappointment that I'm just constantly drawn back to.
Also, you've got a wife, so you've got that going, you know.
But that's going to be horribly coloured and hideous relationship as well. But anyway,
Yeah, I can see that Ronnie hasn't done well. It's not gone well for Ronnie. All right, so you've got this cave of disappointment. I'm going to write those words down.
Expecting to physically walk into in the other place, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's why I'm writing it down. Literally those words. Because I think those words are poignant and relevant to the game that we're about to run. The best friend. What about you, buddy? How did you go?
Terribly. I think I previously said I used other artists and fobbed it off as my own work. And unlike oh god, what's that dead famous modern artist? I can't remember what he's called.
Are you about to refer to Damien Hirst?
Unlike Damien Hirst, I didn't get away with it.
Because I have a really strong opinion about Damien Hirst as an artist, and it's all about the fact that he uses other people to generate his art. So sorry, Damien, if you ever watch this stream, I apologize in advance, but it's not. I'm not going to lie.
Similar sort. Unlike Damien Hirst, I didn't get away with it.
Right. Okay.
And the fandom vilify me now, so
Ooh.
I can't. Nobody collects my art. Nobody wants me to sign anything because I'm that guy who did that thing, and so literally I can't do anything with my art now. So my art means nothing. So in other words, it's very reminiscent of you ripping the art up. It's that was sort of like a prophecy of what would come to pass. My art would actually mean nothing.
Right. Wow. You people need to let me go. I'm just saying, it'd be much better for your mental health. Okay.
You said it had to be relevant.
That's therapy could help here. All right. So yep. So we had the failed art, but actually, I like the idea of the ripping. Yeah. Okay. Victor, the bully.
Yeah.
Same
probably
question.
as I mentioned, he entered medical school probably by his parents' donation.
Yeah.
Because he's not very bright.
They knew the dean of the school, that sort of thing. They got you in.
Knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got me in, but as I took my time graduating and probably, as I said, failed to be a famous doctor, working on walk-in clinics and doing dodgy medical operation by the side. And yeah, probably maybe one day also giving false prescriptions, and maybe one day during an operation he didn't save the one of the socks that he was supposed to save. So yeah, they are after him.
Right. Okay. Wow.
Awesome.
Being chased by criminals. Nice. I do have a question. Do you think, despite all of that, you're reasonably well off? Because you are a doctor and you're sort of selling scripts and other things. Like everyone else that we've talked to so far is some level of not making a lot of money. Are you?
Yeah, I have.
Are you reasonably wealthy?
I appear that I'm not doing much. Don't have a lot of money, but yeah, I'm loaded.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
nice.
I appear poor, but I'm loaded.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay.
Because one day in my mind, I will go to an island in the Caribbean and just live there.
And just do what you always wanted to do. Not be a doctor.
Yeah.
Which was, what did you want to do instead of being a doctor?
Wildlife documentary.
Oh, that's right. Wildlife documentaries. There it is. Yep. Wildlife documentaries. So go to some Caribbean island, preferably with a lot of bird life, and film bird life. Right.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. We've kind of touched on this one, so I don't think we need to get into it. And I'm conscious that we've got 12 minutes to kind of smash through the last little bit of this and then get to the game. So the hope for the future didn't work out. You didn't get what you wanted, or at least it didn't make you happy. Why? I think everyone's explored that in the description of their futures pretty thoroughly. One of you has admitted to being married and even suggested it's not the world's happiest marriage. I think is a reasonable commentary to put on that. Bit controlling, maybe, not, that story of being the pitied continues in your life.
He wants me to focus on my career and I'm not, yeah.
Yeah, the career that you loathe in the office that you hate. Get a real, do something with your real job, not your pretend job.
Yeah, put all that effort into an actual thing so we can have kids and get on with it. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Neil, are you in a relationship? And if you are, what's the nature of it? And do you have kids? Ronnie doesn't have kids.
Kids, no. I think for some mysterious reason, the groupies never materialized.
They did not.
And probably the life of a jobbing, touring musician isn't great for serious long-term relationships. So I think a lot of kind of either dysfunctional and or just casual relationships. And for the last few years, an off-on, but probably more off than on kind of thing that probably isn't going anywhere. But I think maybe I'm kind of hoping it will, but realize that it probably won't.
Okay. Best friend.
Was in a relationship, with civil partnership with somebody. Unfortunately, it's soured.
Yeah.
And they get most of my royalties.
So do they get most of your royalties because there are kids in the story?
Yeah, we adopted.
You adopted? Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Because it was hip and trendy to do that at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Victor.
Yeah.
Dodgy
Victor
doctor.
was, never. It was always stuttering when we tried to speak to someone he likes, and he still stutter, even being a grown up. He's still struggling getting a relationship with someone, and he's still a virgin.
Okay, so still a virgin, no relationships in his past, loaded with money, dreams of moving to a Caribbean island and meeting a beautiful person.
Yeah, because he looks like a poor person, so nobody's talking to him, and he's just being very quiet about his money because he don't want to get in the taxes. And how do you get this money? Yeah.
So ill-fitting suits is a good way to describe this guy. He's got off the rack kind of ill-fitting suits that look like they come from some, what do you call them in the UK?
Oxfam.
Like Oxfam, like sort of op shops.
Yeah.
Kind of suits.
Charity shops.
Yeah, charity shops. Okay, cool. Okay, so we're back in the room. So it's the 20-year reunion, I think, because we agreed that it was 20 years. I've reached out to you all. I've reached out to you all to get together and have a quick game is how I've defined it. Guys, haven't talked to most of you in 20 years. I talk to Neil every now and then because we're relatives and we probably turn up at Christmas lunch roughly at the same time. But beyond that, haven't really talked to any of you in 20 years. You've received this kind of, I'm going to the reunion. Are you guys going to the reunion message? So we've all sort of rocked up. The last question for you all, we're in the school hall. You guys don't know how, but I've gotten access to the school hall. I've said we should all, not the school hall. We're in the classroom that we always used to do D&D club in. in sort of, you know, up in the science labs, with the big long tables with the giant sink in the middle of them that makes it really awkward to play the game, but it was the only space that we could like get legitimately.
Good dice tower.
Good dice tower, yep. So you could roll the dice in the sink as long as you remembered to put the plug in before you started rolling the dice.
Yeah, one day I lost your favorite die because I forgot to
yeah, put the plug in. Yeah, went down the tube. And it was explicitly. Hold on, what did I say we're gonna be? I wrote it down. Oh, one page back.
The D8.
It was the D8. Yes, it was the D8.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was with the bad blood, but and for whatever reason, you've all agreed to turn up. Maybe it's regret, maybe it's just you just want to see how fucked everyone else's life has been for the last. It's the usual reasons you go to a 20-year reunion, right? You go to a 20-year reunion to see whether the jock succeeded at something, whether the person you always thought was gonna, you know, kind of make millions of dollars, made millions of dollars, right? So, and in a sort of microcosm, we are that story. So we are that story of, I just want to know, or maybe you genuinely feel like there's something you can do to resolve whatever broke down the relationship, like for whatever reason. So there's bad blood in the room. Why did you decide to come anyway? A weird sense of guilt. And this is sort of to all of you, right? A weird sense of guilt. How common is this for you, right? So how much across all of you? You've unresolved issues or emotions with someone else in the group. Who? A morbid curiosity. What do you want to know? Or something else. So Neil, snap quiz. Which of those is yours? Weird sense of guilt, unresolved emotions, morbid curiosity, something else.
I think that I am hoping. So I maybe saw a bit of kindred spirit in Ronnie as the other artist in the group, as we were both creators. So although I didn't think his stuff was very good, he was young, right? So
so just I will just pause you there though, because the best friend, Paul, is the person who was doing the drawing. Ronnie was the person who was writing scripts. So did you see Ronnie as the person you were most sympathetic with because they were writing scripts, telling stories, which is similar to music in one sense of the word, right? Like there's that whole concept of I've got a story to tell through music, I've got a story to tell through words. Or were you thinking about Paul as the actual artist and you compared yourself to the artist?
I think it could be either, couldn't it?
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to stick with Ronnie because I think it might be more interesting given that he's the pitied.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that works. What you said, that maybe I saw us both as storytellers in a way. Nice. And I think I'm curious to see if he's made something of himself.
And look, you know, there was that there was that scene at in the you know, where you both basically called out the fact that I was a trope driven, you know, GM who just stole stuff from David Gamel, and independently you both called it out.
Yeah, right.
So you know, in that last session. So obviously there was some commonality of spirit there.
Yeah. Maybe I think I've probably wondered about it over the years.
Yeah, it's like, he had a point. He was like, and for you, he was validating your opinion of what was right.
But yeah.
Because you're very much about, I'm right, everyone else is wrong. And here's this guy who's basically repeating your message to me.
Yeah.
All right, nice. Nice. Ronnie, why have you come?
I've been in a downward spiral for 20 years then and have been getting further and further away from happiness. And the happiness that I remember was that of playing the games before the fight. And I'm desperately hoping that if we can have one more game, that I can regain that happiness, because I just need it now.
Okay. So you're basically seeking to recapture that lost sense of hope that came out. Okay.
This is such a cheerful, feel-good game, isn't it?
Look, I think the whole thing about like veils and X cards and other things, like they put a fair amount of the book emphasis on it, and I'm with them. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm kind of going, yeah, that's legit, because you can see how this could easily be one person saying, oh, I reckon this will be this great story, and then another person goes, well, I actually lived that, so yeah, no, maybe not. So Ronnie wants to recapture sort of that moment before the fight. Paul.
I'm very bitter, and obviously still very bitter from the loss of my career. I just want to burn everything down. So I literally am coming along to the game to make it go bad.
Oh,
So just take out how you feel on everyone else.
Yep. Yes.
Well, this is not
Going
going
to be a
go
complete and utter arse.
It's really not.
I'm definitely going to be that player.
That player, yeah. Nice. So so is such and such doing this? Yeah. Have they got their back turned to me? Yeah. Okay, so I stabbed them in the back. What the fuck? Why are you stabbing them in the back? And well, I can. I'm gonna steal their stuff. Is anyone able to see me? That player. The dickhead. On the subject of dickheads. Apologies for the swearing, by the way. If it was inappropriate, my apologies. All right, so Victor.
yep. Probably after doing his dodgy prescription or operation,
Yeah.
he returned home because he's also always using a pseudonym when he's doing his dodgy operation. His name is Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
So
right, that's his pseudonym, Dr. Dre. Okay.
So he returned back home. So yeah, did he send his Tom contact Victor, or contact only Paul and Victor tagged along as always?
It's up to you, buddy. I reckon that's your call.
Yeah.
So you've
Tagged
just
along.
tagged along because that's what you always did?
Probably Tom totally forgot about Victor and didn't want him in the group, but yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't forget about you, mate. I just didn't invite you.
When they returned home, Paul said, "We are coming for
Oh,
Tom."
and Paul knows how much I hate when Victor comes to the game.
Paul definitely goes, oh, Victor, come on, we're going to go play the game.
Yeah,
you should come. You should really come.
Yeah, cool.
Tom would love to see you.
Tom specifically told me he wanted to see you.
Okay, so so good. Right. Okay, so we made it, actually, not too bad. Okay, so what I'm now going to do is in Discord, and sorry guys, it'll just take me a second. I'm going to send you each your character sheets, and then so the way this works is, so you're all sitting at the table and we're all sort of there. So we've designed our characters, we step back. So I'm now Tom, Paul the best friend, Ronnie, Neil, Victor. You're all sitting around on these high stools because, you know, it's a science lab. So you've got those high stools that you sit on as opposed to actual chairs. There's a Bunsen burner, a couple of connection points for Bunsen burners on the table. There's the big sink in the middle that you throw the chemicals down when it's all gone very wrong, or when you just want to mix a whole stack of chemicals to see if you can dye someone's clothing on the fly. It's such a lark. Anyway, it's dark. You can hear the reunion is starting. So the game is actually happening at we've all kind of rocked up at the school. That's how we got in. And I've kind of dragged us along. I'm kind of overweight, right? And kind of greasy looking. I don't look like, I kind of look like I've maybe even been homeless for a period of time. So I legitimately look like I have not gotten anywhere in my life. And matter of fact, probably gone further down than Ronnie, which is, you know, based on the evidence before us, saying something. So I'm looking pretty ordinary. There's, and hey guys, look, I've got this this special game that I want us to play. I got it out of this thrift shop. So, you know, and I remember how much fun we used to have when we played. Like, it was so much fun. So I was really excited that you could all come. And I'm now really looking forward to playing with you.
I'm really surprised that you sent me an invite. This is very weird for me, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So Victor, yeah, no, Victor, I'm really happy you could come. No, it's good. It's good. It's really good. I wanted all of you here. And I know that, you know, Paul wouldn't have come if you didn't. So I'm really happy that you came. And then I pull out these beautiful sort of metal dice, like these ones that I have. Oh, hold on, I've got to put it in front of my face for it to kind of work. So these beautiful shiny metal dice, and I have one of each.
Yep. Let me see.
I'm not giving them to you straight away. Now, so I just need to go to the character sheets and get them all up. So just let me do that. So there's that one. What die is that? Oh, Mohammed, there's been a change based on the narrative. I'm going to give this to someone else. I'm sorry. I was going to give you the D8, I know, but you know, there it is. Oh, I actually need to do the D6 first. That's right. Who am I going to give that to? Oh, self-evidently. Neil. I hand you a D6. This is a die. Unlike all the other die, this die is not unique, and I am sorry. And then I hand you this D6. Ronnie.
What?
Oh, sorry, Neil.
That's right. I'm just a bit like, whatever.
Whatevs.
Yeah.
Ronnie, I hand you this die. It is one of a kind. It is unique, and it's a D8.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thanks, man. I'm really looking forward to this. Yeah, let's. Yeah, I'm ready, man. Let's do it.
Right. Cool. Oh, yeah. I wasn't actually going to use this one in the game because I have to drop one, but I can't actually think of anyone based on the character description. I can't think of a more suitable one if I try. Paul. I hold in my hand a D4. This dice is unique. It is one of a kind. It is yours. And I give you this metal D4. And then finally, yeah, so that's simple copy. So obvious.
Nice.
Hold on. I just need to remember which die you get. Sorry, Mohammed. Just give me 1 second. Yeah. Okay, perfect. I turn to you, Victor, and I've got 2d10, right? So I'm obviously sus on you because I've got the percentile and the normal units die. Victor, I give you this D10. It is one of a kind. It is unique.
Oh, nice. Oh, oops. So, immediately dropped it.
To drop the die.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, okay.
So that makes you the Neo. Okay, so I'm now going to send each of you your character sheet on Discord. So just give me literally 1 minute to do. Oh, probably take more than 1 minute. So there'll be a slight pause while I struggle with computers.
Victor completely goes to Neil. Does Neil use some substance or?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Hey, buddy, do you want a prescription for something?
Well,
Only
what? Maybe. What have you got? What can you get?
anything you want.
Mhm.
Oh, well, just I don't know. Well, it could liven the game up, couldn't it? Why didn't you get some of the good stuff? Whatever you think. Enough for everyone.
Yeah, he opens his bag. I have Oxy. I have.
Hey, brought it with you. Amazing.
Yeah. Whatever you need. You probably just.
Meanwhile, I'm looking at your dice and going, why have you lot all got fancy dice and I've got this shitty plain one?
I got D4.
Yeah, well, I've got not only the most boring shaped dice, but yours are all swanky metal ones.
Oh, it'll mean something special still. It'll just be hidden in the rules.
Well, it better be.
I've got one that you basically, if you drop it on the floor, you're going to impale it in your foot.
What do you use the dice for? It's been 20 years. I don't remember.
Okay. Okay, as you take the last die, I would now ask you to kind of open up the character sheets I've just sent you all on Discord.
Okay.
We didn't end up with a Godbinder, which was... So I make this comment just because it's really fascinating in showing how that generation system actually really does work quite impressively well. I had not intended to use the dictator because the dictator it's a quite unbalanced character, and it's literally said in the rules, you know, this is the one where you should ask everyone if they're comfortable for this one to be in the game. I'm going to go with everyone will be comfortable.
This is Paul.
This is Paul. Yeah, Paul. But it's 100% what Paul described his character's intention was for the game. There is no way the dictator isn't the right person, isn't the right character. Okay, so we have now got character sheets. So what I might just do, I'll use the, yeah. I mean, it's not read your,
Yeah.
I will open up the Godbinder because no one's a Godbinder. So that makes me feel, I'm not, by the way, it's not, I don't think it's super secret. And yet at the same time, maybe a little bit secret. Like what you can do. It's for you to explore. Okay, so I'm just sharing my screen, so you should all be able to see it. So you each have a class.
That was what I was going to be.
Yeah. No, actually, I think this one was going to be... Anyway, it doesn't matter. Oh, no, it was. Yeah. Yes, yeah. Okay, so we don't have a Godbinder. But, right, so the first part of the character sheet basically describes a bit of a background as to what you are and what you can do. So the Godbinder has that narrative structure. You will all have a quick narrative breakout in your character sheet on the front page. There's a play the Godbinder if you want to. Now, in a fast play situation, I have chosen your characters for you based on where we've landed with your character sheet, with the persona descriptions. Hopefully that resonates. I think it should. It was all pretty obvious to me. I think the Neo's dependency works very well for the way the Bullied operates, that way the Victor operated. I think the Dictator 100% is exactly what the best friend would really want. I think the Emotion Knight goes very well with Ronnie, and Ronnie, you'll get to choose what type of Emotion Knight you are. And obviously Neil with the Fool just made sense, because they're kind of like, they're kind of a chancer. Okay, so you've got stats. So the way it works, very simply, dice pool based on stat. If you have a stat of 2, you get 2 dice. If you have a stat of 3, you get 3 dice, so forth and so on. Stats plus advantage plus disadvantage, which is kind of scene or information based, gives you your dice pool. You then add your die, whatever that might be, to that roll, and then you roll everything above a 4, success, 6, special. Guard represents a kind of shield, if you will, for your character. So you can take 2 points of damage before you start taking health if you've got a guard of 2, and guard resets at the start of every fight. Health is actually how much it takes to kill you, or to have you almost dying, at least. If you die in the game, unfortunate use of language, then you can't vote at the end. But you come back as a different character if you're dead. Willpower is pretty self-evident. It's resistance. And then you've got defense as well. So you can now go through your character sheets. I invite you to do so. I didn't make them form fillable. My apologies. So just maybe write notes on a piece of paper, if you will. I could have.
Printing it off.
I just didn't think. It's very wise. So what are you currently wearing, I think, is a section that you will all have. Note your equipment. You may have choices in your equipment on your character sheet. You can put notes on the thing, just put notes. And then there's a description of your abilities, which are all very, very specific to your character. So I'll stop screen sharing and just kind of... So that's basically it. Now, what I would ask is that we kind of move through this section pretty quickly. So for the Emotion Knight, your number one question after you look at your look is, what is your emotion that you're picking? So you have these 8 emotions in the sort of concentric wheel in the middle. You'll see them there. You've got sort of vigilance, ecstasy, admiration, terror, amazement, grief, loathing, and rage. And they empower your weapon. So that everyone is at least vaguely aware, I will just give the world's... I won't go into the details of your abilities, but I will just mention what you are brilliant at. The Emotion Knight can level cities if they reach... if they can get enough of this emotion going, however they might do that. So... that is your sort of superpower. You are the ultimate warrior. You are the ultimate fighter. But how you empower that is based on these emotions.
Sure.
For the Neo, you are effectively you're like a techno-magical person. So you've got weird accoutrements. They come from the fair, who are like Fae, and are powered through fair gold, which you must accumulate to use your gifts. For the Fool, you take risks all the time, and you're laughing at either yourself or everyone else in the process. And you rush in and make and do crazy things. The main thing is you're empowered by song, right? Like you're sort of, well, not empowered. You don't have to be empowered by song, but I'm going to go with the fact that you probably are. Note your equipment. You get one, either you get a rapier or a pistol. And what style of fool are you? You get to choose. So you could choose bard, just as a small point.
It's got to be. Got to be.
And the one really important thing about you is you have to decide which number on your special D6 that you have gives you special abilities.
Okay.
Over time. The dictator is the sort of opposite of the emotion knight. So where the emotion knight is fueled through emotion, the dictator causes other to experience emotion. And we need to make a quick decision as a group here. So there are two fundamental uses of the dictator's gift. One is control, coercion, if you will, and one is to defend/attack. So kind of you can use emotion as a weapon, and you can use emotion to control the behavior of others. For non-player characters, you always have both. That's a given. But as a group, you can decide now whether you want the dictator to be able to coerce others or only use their power to cause harm and defend themselves. There are particular reasons for this because, to be very explicit, they can kill you through emotion. They can cause you to feel such extreme emotion you will die. They can cause you to act completely in contravention of how you would normally act. So this is why they're often suggested to be the one that you don't play, but based on what Paul was saying, I couldn't look past the dictator. So which of these do you feel, guys?
Oh,
So it's an either or.
It's no. So they will always have the attack defend ability. The question I'm asking you is, do you want them to have the controlling emotions ability on PCs?
Ah, I see. Gotcha. Okay.
I think I'm all right with them having it because I trust the player not to just ruin the game. I know the character wants to ruin the game, but I trust the player not to. So I'm okay with any of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. So we're definitely going to say, and just a caveat, obviously you can't take away consent. So you don't have to do things that are not of consent. Now, one of the things we were meant to have done, but I was trying to shortcut, we didn't go through the magical circle bit, which would have answered this question. So I'm now doing it at this point. And we sort of talked about, we're not going to go into lots of dark places, like really dark places. We're going to kind of keep to the shadows, but not all the way into really dark, intense stuff. So now having done that, if you guys have gotten a chance to kind of go through your sheets, it's okay to take a moment to read them. Please do. I think it's really important that, you've kind of got it in your head. We don't have to keep the sheet secret. I just kind of felt that would be a good starting point because you're all sort of unaware of what everyone else can do, and it probably makes sense that you manage that a little bit. But if you wanted to fire off any questions or say anything about that, do that now. Just note that we're about to step into the sort of, we're stepping away from the table and we are now in the fantasy world kind of moment. So any questions? And we can work through things as we play too, by the way. And we're going to play it a bit loose because I haven't remembered every rule in Die. I'm not going to try. So we'll play it a bit by ear.
I have a quick question about my special ability.
Yeah.
If I'm reading it right,
yeah,
get to roll an extra D6.
Correct.
If I'm acting in a foolish, daring, or cavalier fashion.
Yep.
And then in that case, the extra D6 adds as a works as a normal dice in the pool, but in addition, if I roll my special number, which I've chosen as 2 for no reason at all, then something cool happens. Is
Correct.
that about it?
Yeah,
Okay.
and every time that you do that and it doesn't come up, you get to circle another number.
Okay.
So over
Wow,
time,
It's more and more likely.
yeah. So over time, it becomes more and more likely that you'll get that special thing. I should have mentioned, by the way, the actual correct name for the templates is paragons. So you're all paragons.
Okay.
So let me just full dice. Your die is a 6. You can add it to your dice pool at any time you're acting in a foolish or cavalier fashion. In any dice pool, which includes the full D6, you gain access to the following special. Special roll another D6 and add it to the present dice pool. Yeah, and then circle one face of your D6 with the flukes. And then over time, you can add more circles. I'll tell you, if you're instructed how to circle dice, keep on doing it until you do it.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, so so the emotion knight can add their die to your scared emotion. Your powers are driven by feeling specific. You've got the big wheel. You've chosen that. You've got your weapon. So, all right. So you all appear. So I sort of, ha 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 ha. I literally do that. Now we will play the game properly, and there's a kind of explosion of light and color from all of the dice that you are now holding. And you suddenly find yourselves incarnate in the paragons, in the character sheets you had before you just seconds ago, in the same space. You're in the science room, but it is different. Now, noting that I think we went with the blade glades.
Yep, blade
glade
of the other child.
The blade glade of the Everchild. Okay, all right. Yeah, I got this. Okay, so you're in a room now. You're sitting on high stools, but they're now just made of wood. There's no sort of metal, legs or anything like that. The table in front of you has somehow expanded and grown. Surrounding you are walls made of blades of various kinds pointing inwards into the room in jagged form. There's an exit in the room flowing almost so corridors made of blades and steel. You know that if you are pushed against these walls, they will cut you and bleed you. In the background, this underlying laughing, crying sound of a small child can be heard sort of resonating through the walls around you, but like a kind of metallic ting to it, like it's resonating through the blades and the blades are making the sound somehow. This room. This is the start of the dungeon from 20 years ago. And you know that the walls and the rooms move in an ever sort of revolving shape towards the center. Now, I will ask each of you just very quickly to describe what you look like, starting with you, Neil.
Okay.
What do you look like?
So I'm clear. This is what my character looks like, right?
That's your paragon.
You
are now your paragon. You are no longer. We kind of skipped over what you guys look like, but look, we got the vibe.
Don't think it matters. Yeah. Okay, so I'm thinking typical sort of fantasy or D&D type bard. Youngish guy, very handsome, because my character would definitely be very handsome. With a touch of metal to the look, So I don't know if I've got any armor. Doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm wearing like leather, kind of all leather. If that counts as armor, then fine. If not, it's just clothing. And carrying a lute, very fine lute, very ornate, beautiful, carved lute. A pistol hanging by my side, and a kind of an impish grin.
Okay. Ronnie, what do you look like?
I look like a 1980s action hero because that's the first thing I think of in my trope mind. But I think it's going to be the Robin Hood style. So the leather armors, the woodsman's green and brown, the cloak that is always just caught by the right amount of wind for it to look dashing, with a perfect beard, and the silly hat that is just wrong for Robin Hood, but everybody knows that it's Robin Hood. But with a slightly out of place headsman's axe, I think.
Nice. I was counting on you going the axe.
Yeah.
Very
The
nice.
destructive thing, I think. It had to be destructive.
Also, Druss the Axe from David Gemmell, the most consistent character through the entire series. Big guy, beard, axe, leathers, wears leather all the time. I really do remember David Gemmell. I wasn't making that bit up.
Druss the Legend.
Yep. Well, later, Druss the Legend. In Legend, as a matter of fact, where he dies. Okay, so cool. Paul, what do you look like?
Tall, gangly, long, curly, sort of dark hair, tight clip goatee, wearing sort of a very austere robe. Imagine Klaus from the Umbrella Academy when he was the cult leader. That sort of look, basically.
Right.
Eyes on the palm of his hands. Yeah.
Ice on the palm of his hands.
Eyes, yeah.
Eyes on the drawn on or something.
Drawn eyes, yeah.
Maybe drawn. Maybe
yeah.
they open
maybe drawn.
Maybe drawn.
Yeah.
Okay, and finally, Victor, what do you look like?
Probably this is the same character that we had 20 years ago, or
up to you.
Probably haven't seen the Matrix back then, so he going to the leather part. He looked like this character, clad in leather, big visor on his head. I don't know, it's not focusing.
That's all right.
Yeah, purple leather, a big glass visor on his head. Yeah, and he's probably some sort. They want to mock him. He didn't know how to create a character, so Tom gave him a female characters, but he completely likes it. So he named it, because he's not very imaginative, so he named it Victoria. Instead of Victor, he's naming it Victoria.
Great.
Okay, so
and he's wielding 2 daggers, and he has a rifle as a ranged weapon. She has a rifle as a ranged weapon.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Suddenly in sort of full... No, the swords reform, actually. The swords kind of... You see... So the swords were moving, but now they seem to move with intent in a particular way, and form this kind of statement, welcome to the blade glades of the ever child. And then in that kind of classic horror motif from the 1980s where you get the sort of two slashing things sort of slash down and then cross to create the sort of Roman 2, you get the Roman 2 kind of slashed over it. At that moment, coming out of the walls are these balls of swords and blades, these articulated, moving swords, and they move towards you with intent. We are in combat, gentlemen. I just need to check. Sorry, this is a very real world issue. I just need to check my calendar to see if I have a meeting at 9. I don't think I do. I don't have a meeting until 10. Yeah. I'll just drive. I won't walk. Okay. All right. So we'll do this. We'll do this scene, and then we will be stopping for the evening. And it'll give you a good chance to go and read your character sheets and do all that stuff and kind of get your head around it and all those sorts of things. But for now, there are a bunch of rolling bladed shapes heading towards you at great speed. Declaration of what you want to do about it, people. Starting with go, Victor. Are you ready?
He's completely lost it. He's probably Victor imagining he's having a bad trip because of the pills he's just getting. And he
did you take some of the oxy? Man, you got to stop. Sure. You know, don't use your own gear, man. It's the first rule of being a drug dealer, right?
He's saying, this never happened before. Paul, I'm guessing I'm having a bad trip.
No, this is real. This is the really real man. This is this is really real world.
So a blade is coming in front of us?
Yeah. So what do you want to do? And I actually need dice, which I said I'd get like an hour and a half ago, but we got into it and I didn't do. So just give me 1 sec.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I guess he probably will try to shoot it with his pistol.
Blade globes.
Yeah.
I got a magical death.
She. I have to remember he's a she in the real world. Okay.
Whatever. Don't worry about me. It'll be fine. I got a single D6. I can roll it a lot. All right. I'll work out where I put my bag of D6s in a little while. There you go. GM prep fail 1. Okay. Victor, since you're freaking out, you're talking to Paul, your brother. Neil, what do you want to do?
So I'm wondering if this is some kind of just cool effect or something that Tom's come up with. Maybe he's finally learned how to DM. And so I'm not really thinking it's real. So I'm like, hey, fuck it. I get my pistol out and just furiously blasting away.
Okay, so all right, so you're going to just start blasting away. Now, technically, it goes from highest dexterity to lowest dexterity, but I think we can go with this order for now. So, and actually, you might have had the highest dexterity now I think about it. Right. So the way it works is it's a dice pool. Because you're using a pistol, I think that uses dexterity because it's a ranged attack. The DT. Let me just check this. Count successes. Falls or better, dealing damage. Target has any guard, remove 1 guard. Right. Okay. So it's straight up DT 0 unless they're particularly amazing, and these are not particularly amazing. So please roll your dice.
So I need 1 success,
to hit, and
0.
Yeah. More successes, more damage.
So I'm just going to go in there straight away and say, does this count as a daring or cavalier thing to do?
Well, how are you making it daring or cavalier? What describe
I think
what you're doing?
I'm just rushing in. I'm like probably not even backing off. I'm heading towards the rotating blades and just
shooting as you
I'm not
run
trying
in.
to hide, or I'm just like, yeah, as if it's some action film or something. Just
Right.
kind of
Okay.
running.
Perfect. All right. Yes. So
Right.
add that extra die and make sure you know which.
Yeah, I've got a different color
Perfect.
one.
Mhm.
Okay, so I have got 2 successes, of which one is a 6. I did not roll my special 2 on my special dice.
Right.
That means I get to draw another circle on it.
It
I think
does. That's correct. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
Yep. Yep.
cool.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, so 2 successes, of which one was the 6.
You're gonna get take special. Okay. Do you have any specials attached to your weapon? It should literally say special.
No, I don't actually.
Okay. All right.
The rapier did, but I chose the pistol, so
Yeah.
that's right.
Okay. So you blast away. You did 2 points of damage. You said.
Well, 2 successes.
2 successes, which is indeed 2 points of damage. Okay, you race in, blasting away with the weapon. You definitely destroy it. It's racing at you. All these blades and these sorts of things are going off. How does it come apart? What does the gun do to it? We haven't really explored the what does the gun do question.
So I wonder if this is more of a mechanical thing than a magical one.
Okay, sure.
We have that science kind of thing going on as well.
Yeah.
So I think it almost appears to be sort of robotic. So as the bullets kind of slam into it, bits of metal fly off, revealing some kind of tangle of wires, and there's some sort of kind of sparks and like fizzes and sparks, and then just kind of falls to the ground.
Nice. In the middle of it, in the middle of all of that circuitry, by the way, you can see a small gem.
Okay.
A stone of some description. My memory is failing me, so I will need to go and look up what color they were, but I think they were blue.
Sapphire?
Yeah, sapphire? Okay.
Sapphires are blue.
No, sapastry stones. The actual stones that featured, they had a color.
They were gold.
Gold. Oh, that's right. It was the gold.
If they were the evil version. They were.
Oh, Sipastrasi.
And then they went black. They got black veins through them as they got used up.
It basically looked like a lump of coal that basically had that gold. So it wasn't a gem. It was like a stone that was gold. Yeah, sorry.
And then when they got used up, they got black veins through them.
Black veins in it. Yeah. And then basically, if they used up too much, you could dip them in blood. And then basically it became blood Sipastrasi.
Yeah. So these are blood. So these are red with black veins going through them then.
Yeah.
Because I am, it turns out, a master of tropes. Okay, so you charge in, blasting away. It blows apart, it shatters, there's wires and everything, and in the middle there's this little, very small little blackish red stone sort of sitting at the center of this thing. Okay, next, I think the two people who were chatting, I'm going to let chat for just 1 second. So Ronnie.
Don't want to move past the surprise phase too quickly, so I'm going to turn to Tom and just a bit confused to Tom, what have you done?
Oh no, Tom's not here. Tom's disappeared.
In that case,
so you look around to where Tom was, and there's no sign of Tom. He's kind of gone.
In that case, I yell that out to the sky. Tom, what have you done? And I'm looking around for it.
You see the two flash more brightly. Okay, so best friend, Paul. What do you want to do?
I'm gonna basically I had to choose one emotion.
You did.
That I'm specialized in.
Yes. Well, that you
can
leverage.
I do can I do other emotions, or is it just that one emotion?
No, that's the emotion you use for your abilities.
Okay.
You can feel
So
other emotions to your heart's content, but this is the one that powers your powers.
Okay, so I'm going to basically move forward, and I'm going to invoke amazement in the balls, basically, so they just explode, just because they're just so amazed by my just awesomeness. So basically, you know, my arms go wide. You can see that, you know, the eyes sort of like glow almost, as I step forward. Now, I don't roll the d4, do I? Because I give it to.
Oh yes, good point.
So do I give it to you?
I believe. Let me just check. In this case, I believe you do.
To a player whose character you're influencing, but I'm guessing that might be only for players. But
actually, no.
The D4 shows the effect's intensity. Oh, okay, yeah, all right.
So yes. So let's see.
Roll the charisma dice pool, which is plus your D4. That is, I got a 3 on the D4, a 6 and a 4, and then the other dice was a 3. So that's 2 successes.
Okay. A 3.
A 3 on the D4.
Okay, so
and I got a 6, but it doesn't tell me any specials I've got. I don't know what. Unless I'm being.
No, that's fine. Okay, so you. Oh, it's only if you're influencing. You're not influencing. You're just attacking.
Yeah, okay.
So you're not trying to influence them. You're not trying to control them. You're literally
I'm trying to blow them
lashing
apart
at them. Yeah. You're lashing out.
So
okay.
Is that a magical death touch then?
Mm-hmm.
So do I roll the D4 then or not?
Hold on. I really should have read this more carefully. Let's just assume for now it's just damage, and we'll read the rules more carefully later.
So I got a 6 and a 4.
Okay, so one of them stops and shudders in kind of, sort of abject amazement, and kind of lowers itself to the ground below you, sort of bows almost, and stops in that position. So it doesn't fall apart, but rather you see its arms, if it had them, these kind of tubes of blades kind of reach out and touch the ground, and it lowers itself, and it just shudders to a stop directly in front of you.
I want the stone inside it, basically.
Oh, okay. That is control. That's not.
Yeah, that's what
attack.
I wanted to give me the stone, basically.
All right, you can give me the D4 then. All right. Well, it does that then, and its back arches open, and the stone sort of is gifted to you on the tip of this blade.
Excellent. So I will take that
as it does so. Awesome. All right. Victor.
He's now Victoria.
He's now Victoria. Well, that was quick.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Yep. Victoria.
One of the gifts that Victoria is choosing to have a pet, a cybernetic pet.
Yep.
Probably because he's just playing the game as it is, naming the character Victoria and naming the pet Lassie. Completely not even imagine. So
okay.
Yeah.
And so what is Lassie?
One of the gifts, but Lassie is the cybernetic pet dog that he.
Right. Okay. Cyber dog.
So it's a dog.
Nice. So you know how it works, right? The cyber dog is just paused next to you.
Yeah.
But you do have maybe the Sapastry stones are your version of bear gold.
exactly. So I probably used my ranged weapon to attack my rifle
Yep.
because so I used the dexterity, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So yeah, only one success. I got a 6 and a 2 and a 3.
Okay. Do you have specials tied to your weapon?
No.
Okay. So you do a point
No.
of damage, which means it actually keeps on coming. Okay. So at that point, the two that are remaining launch attacks. Where did I? Oh, there. Okay, so first of all, who? Always the most entertaining question of all. Oh, look, I've got this D4 that I just got given. The first one springs at Neil, and no. Oh, Jesus. Comes spinning at you, Neil. So you blew one apart, but another one leaps over the top of it and strikes you for 2 points of damage. Now you can take. So does your armor? Do you have armor?
I don't think. Well, I don't think I do.
No,
It's
I don't
not
think
under
so
equipment.
either. Because you're the fool,
No.
aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no mention of thing, but you do have defense too.
Yes.
So I'm pretty sure that means I miss. Or I cause you no damage.
So is that your target number then? So you needed
pretty much. Yeah, I'll just double check, but I'm pretty sure that is right. So for combat, then you do this, then you do this. Defense measure difficulty is to hit. It's not derived from any set. It is 0 unless stated otherwise. It is not stated otherwise. So yes, I fail to hit. The other one, the last one, actually, quite rightly, attacks Ronnie. And gets Jesus. Okay, wow.
Oh.
That was bad. Ronnie, 3 hits.
Oh, it was a shame. It was going to miss. I could have used a special, but never mind. I've got defense 2.
Oof.
So I hit you, and you've got guard 2 as well.
2. Yep.
So I don't call. So your guard gets reduced by 1 and goes down to 1.
That's fine.
But yeah, so it springs upon you, and basically, while you're like yelling at Tom, you get blindsided by this thing. It just comes out of the side and just attacks you, and you suddenly realize this is all very, very real. Because this thing is clawing at your leather armor and scratching at you. You're assumedly just kind of pushing it away with the axe, and it's just stabbing at you repeatedly. Okay. Next,
does that count as a fail to hit? Because if it does, then I can use something.
A fail to hit. Oh, okay.
No, because it did your damage, didn't it?
No, because it actually hit you.
It reduced my guard. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I hadn't rolled 3 successes, it would have been a failed hit.
Okay.
I rolled 3 successes on 3 dice. You were very unlucky. Okay, so then it is Ronnie, I'm going to give you first go, even though because you're suddenly attacked, I'm going to flip to you. So you've got this great axe in your hands. What do you do?
So do I decide my emotional scale? Do I get to do we just agree that between us based on what we think is being role played?
Discuss with Jim how you feel you would have changed. Yeah. So yes, it is literally we discuss it. So what emotion have you chosen?
So I think I'm feeling the slight contempt and boredom of the fact that you have, as Tom, stolen Gemmel's ideas again. You put the strategy in there, and you've just nicked all this stuff. So I don't think I'm quite at disgust. I think I'm just slightly bored by this idea. So maybe I'm only a level 1 at the moment. but it'll build up.
So you're a loathing knight.
So I'm loathing, yeah. I mean, I'm going to loathe myself, but if you're going to give me something to loathe in there as well, then I'm going to pick both. But yeah, it'll be both.
So so you feel strong emotion. You feel strong loathing both for me and yourself.
Yes, both of them. Yeah, we've not grown. Neither of us have grown. We're both just stealing Gemel's stuff again. After 20 years, can we not do any better than this?
We have not moved an iota. We are still right where we were 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
Very nice. All right, so you feel okay, so that's cool. So yes, you're at level 1. And the way you would represent that is you put your D8 on the on a 1.
And then if I'm feeling that, then I can vent it all over these horrible creatures that just should not exist.
You can take your loathing out, as it were, on this pathetic trope-driven game that you find yourself in again.
And I need to destroy that Substrati stone that's right in the middle. Those blades are irrelevant to me. It's that seed of being copied that I need to go straight for. So I'm going to try and get between the blades and go right for that stone.
Okay.
And then, sorry, I missed, is this with the axe? Is that strength?
Yes, but you can take, I think, with the axe, I'm going to give you an advantage for kind of all of that. So you can roll 3 dice and then you add 1 dice for the advantage, which gives you 4.
Okay. This one, I have 3 4s and a 6.
Bloody hell!
So I can hopefully show that. No, I can't. Anyway,
that's fine.
With the 6, the special is if it hits, it does 2 wounds instead of 1.
Yep. So you get to activate the special. So if this hits wounds, it deals 2 instead of 1. So it definitely does. So you shatter this thing into a million pieces, right? You smash exactly as you intended. You take all of that disgust and loathing with just all of it. And you smash right through it. You feel the sapastry stone that was in the middle sort of shatter under the tip or the edge of the blade into 1,000 little crystal pieces. But you're still surrounded by all these tropes and, it's all freaking hack, right? At the same time, I will just remind you that even as you do that, you feel the blade's contempt for you. Because the blade is the voice of your wife. You hear her contempt for you in the blade's voice. It has her voice when it talks. There's this just subtle feeling of disappointment and contempt in it. Okay, I think we're up to Neil.
Okay. So Ronnie's just taken one out. I took one out. I was hit by one. So there's
one stabbing at you even as we speak.
Yeah, okay.
Or attempting to stab you, but because you charged forward, right? You were blasting away pistols thinking this is all a bit of a lark. This thing has come straight at you and you're darting around it, still you haven't been hit. It's it's like
so I'm still having a whale of a time.
That's right.
And
all funny until someone loses an eye.
Being right on top of it should probably realistically deter me from trying to use a ranged weapon, but it's not going to.
No,
so as I'm kind of dancing around it, I'm just like trying to let loose with another few rounds.
Okay, fire away.
Okay. That is 3 successes. I got 3 5s.
Beautiful. So you basically dance on the tip of its blades, point the pistol down, and just, boom, straight into the heart of it. smashing it into 1,000 pieces in the process. Like you hit the stone just right and the whole thing just collapses. Like it doesn't even, it's not like the other one where you blew it apart and there was circuitry and other things. This thing, it's almost like you've, the force that holds all the blades together just collapses in a second. And the whole thing just drops to the ground like water, a water of swords and blades and knives falling underneath your feet. And you're just follow that fall to the ground and yet somehow suffer no wounds or injuries. The blades do not cut because you are so good at this. So you are standing around surrounded by all of these destroyed things. I
will go and collect the stone.
Okay, so you're collecting a stone. Now we're going to make the stones the fair gold. So I will point that out to you, Neo. You will actually need one of those to activate your ability. So there are currently two. I think there are 2 stones. Does that sound right? Yes, 2 stones. 2 were destroyed, 2 were not.
Okay.
Because there was one given. There was one. The first one you saw, and then there's the one that was given to you. So you've got the stone that you collected, and it's collapsed in front of you. And there's the stone that was in the broken one. Victor, if you want to, Victoria, I should say, if you want to grab that.
Yeah, I will grab it.
Okay, so then we'll just go to the very last moment of this scene, and then we will stop. Let me just read this. Sorry.
Can I change my pet?
You can. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because of Paul's cat, I will become a mechanical cat called Felix.
Felix, nice.
Cool.
Okay, I'm completely cool with that. Okay, after the battle, the blades that were kind of pointing into that exit that you saw kind of fold away. But then where you saw that formation of words, welcome to the Blade Glades of the Everchild 2, now a different set of words form.
Electric.
Now, these words are different in the sense that they're formed differently as well. Like the lettering is different to the first set of lettering. It's quite distinct. And actually, you can sense the difference in the 2 sets of things. Perhaps a different will drives these words. There are 2 exits to the dungeon. One leads back to Earth, the other doesn't. All living members of the party must leave together. If an exit is not chosen, reality will collapse and everyone will die. And then along the bottom, in that same slashing kind of, 1980s trope sense that you got before, the following words in red blood filtered through with little golden and black veins running through it. This time you die for real. And that is the end of the first session.
Amazing.
Awesome.
That's very cool.
All right.
Yep, very cool.
Thanks, Thomas.
Well done, guys. That was really, really good.
It's
brutal.
And thank you, Thomas. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, look, it's really funny. I backed it because I love the comics, and I thought, but I'm never going to run it because it's too, I'll never run it. It'll be too much. But then I was reading it, and I read the scenarios, and I thought, actually, this is epically cool. This will actually be shitloads of fun to run. And I watched, there was an actual play where Kieron Gillen actually does it. He runs through the whole thing, which was super useful. Because it actually gave me that sense of, oh, no, all right, I get how these questions are meant to work. And actually, they do work, right? You guys were really feeding off each other, and we built a whole narrative. So, no, I'm super, super impressed. So, gathered together in a fortnight. No, not a fortnight. Sorry, it's next week.
It's a week.
It's next week. Yes, because I'm running out of time. Because I'm flying to Europe in about 4 weeks. So, I'm trying to get things done before I get on an airplane and come to Europe for a month.
Cool.
I'm having lunch with Matt and Dave.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah, in London, because I thought that'd be lovely. So see you in a week's time, good gentles,
cool.
one and all. Thank you very much for your time. And traditionally,
Yeah,
what we're
thank
meant to
you.
do is we're meant to all hand back the dice, but I literally just don't have the time now. So thank you. Talk to you all later. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Okay. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.